I know the last thing you guys want is to see a content creator like myself whining and complaining. Because let's be honest, you probably have a far more difficult job and a lot bigger problems than I do. But I would like to give you the information of what goes behind the scenes, because what I'm about to tell you is what a lot of content creators are going through. And it's one of the main reasons why the quality on YouTube has dropped dramatically compared to what it was 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember the last time I seen a funny viral video going out on YouTube. It's very rare that it happens. I'm pretty sure it still does, but most viral videos, they happen either on TikTok or they happen on a completely different platform. YouTube is becoming more and more sanitized, and it's very difficult to keep you guys entertained. And it kind of hurts me because I know I could be doing a lot better. I know that I could be making videos that are way funnier than the ones that I'm making. I know that I could tackle subjects that a lot of my subscribers ask me to tackle, but I can't because I am being chained by my hands by YouTube. Every day I see big channels that have over 500,000 subscribers being entirely demonetized with no strikes, no warnings, none whatsoever. And Tim Pool recently talks about a channel that I haven't watched, but he says that it's fine, so I take his word for it. WeAreChange.org got demonetized just like that, snap. And this is not like you get a couple of videos demonetized, your entire channel gets demonetized. And I know like a lot of people will say, well, the money isn't important, but a channel that just got demonetized means it's not going to be pushed at all by YouTube into the algorithm. So it's like making videos where you talk to the walls. Like making videos for myself basically, because what happens when a channel isn't recommended, you just have your subscribers and most of them won't even get notifications that you're uploading videos. But on top of that, you're not getting new subscribers in. So it's just like sudden death. You're going to slowly drip, drip, drip until you're off the platform. And it's very sad what is happening. A lot of people already know that YouTube is promoting mainstream media. And I think that this is going to bite them in the ass in the long run. Because really what they're doing is they're training people to watch cable news. That's literally what they're doing. They're training people. Hey, by the way, do you know these news guys which were dropping in ratings and they were dying a couple of years ago? Yeah. Don't you know about these celebrities and these comedians? And people will slowly but surely start watching cable news again and moving away from YouTube. So I think like this is a good small time business practice for them. But in the long run, it's not. And it's really interesting. Like if we've been following what has been going on, you get like the Wall Street Journal attacking YouTube, saying that they're putting ads on racist content or whatever. And then you look at it now, Wall Street Journal is one of the mainstream media that is being promoted and recommended heavily by YouTube. And it's quite interesting because now the Wall Street Journal all of a sudden isn't slandering YouTube anymore. Isn't that fascinating? You know, this little alliance. People keep calling the death of YouTube. No, I call it the rebirth of the mainstream media. They won. They really won. But anyway, right? Tim Pool has this channel now. It's called Timcast, and he basically does like this real life, I guess like Joe Rogan style interview with a friend of his and a lady that's never in front of the camera. Put the lady in front of the camera, Tim. What are you doing? And he talks about interesting things. He's got like his takes on certain issues, but I disagree with him on several things. One of the things is that YouTube is cracking down on low production channels. I don't think that's the case because there's a lot of Let's Players out there. And there's a lot of beauty bloggers that have very low productions like ASMR channels. They're not getting cracked on as heavily. And it's not like... The thing that Tim Pool is saying is like if you have a company like Coca-Cola and they want to put ads, they don't want, you know, their ad to go on a very small channel. But that's not how it works. Like the way it works, as I understand it, is like if you talk, or at least the way it used to work, if you talked about Coca-Cola in your video, you'd get a Coca-Cola ad. So basically, even if you're a small channel with like 20 subscribers, the ad would get to the eyeball of a person that is talking about Coke, and the viewer would just see the ad, because you're purchasing like a number of ads that goes to the people that are watching that particular content. So it's not like the companies are wasting money. I do not agree with this way of thinking. But I do think they are definitely trying to take out the competitor of mainstream media, and they're making it incredibly difficult to talk about subjects. Like, you are not allowed to break stories on YouTube anymore, from what Tim Pool is saying. And from my personal experience, yes, that is absolutely correct. You are not allowed to break stories on YouTube at all. The way it works is that if something hasn't been discussed by the mainstream media, so for example, the idea that the Wuhan virus originated from a lab. If you talked about it a couple of months ago, you would get your video demonetized. Yellow icon, heavily suppressed. But now that you have the mainstream media talking about it, like Fox News, and you have certain American businessmen that are suing China over this, now it's fine to talk about it. And this is just one subject. But it goes on and on and on. Like, I can give plenty of examples. And in some cases, like regarding a CIA operative, if you mention his name on a live stream, the live stream just goes down. And even if like politicians are talking about it, even if it's widely known on the internet who the guy is, you're not allowed to say it. And this just like destroys the independent creators on YouTube. And I get it, like the mainstream media hates this, because a lot of mainstream media does now what I am doing. A lot of people say get a real job. It's like, I am not having a less of a job than some BuzzFeed journalist. It is exactly the same thing they're doing. Unless it's on the ground reporting, unless you're actually going and traveling with a microphone, you are doing exactly the same job that a journalist from a corporation is doing. You're going around on the internet, looking on Twitter, or looking at what other reporters are uploading online, and then showing that to the audience and giving your take on it. That is literally what people from The Guardian are doing. That is literally what people from BuzzFeed are doing. The only difference is that someone like me, the only people that I have to hold me to account are you, the viewers. Like, if I put some fake news out there, I'm going to be eaten alive in the comment section. Like, people are going to issue corrections. People are going to unsubscribe if I keep posting a lot of fake news constantly. But the idea is, like, I can get to view the news and I can show it to you within minutes. Someone that works at Vice, someone that works at BuzzFeed, someone that works at Vox, they have to put the news down, then they have to go to the editor, and that takes time. And by the time they publish it, it can take hours, if not days. So I'm breaking the news before them. And YouTube doesn't like that. They don't like that, and they demonetize things. So let me give you an example, right? For example, this MSNBC host pushes what they like to call a conspiracy theory. Now, conspiracy theory is something that I really hate in its name. Like, just because something is a conspiracy doesn't mean it's false. Like, you didn't debunk something just by calling it a conspiracy theory. And if you do an interesting thought experiment, like you replace conspiracy theory with the word accusation, the sentences always make sense. Because that's what it is nowadays. It's an accusation that is either made with flimsy evidence or it's made with circumstantial evidence. So the moment you raise the topic and you're accusing something, it's a conspiracy theory and it needs to be shut down. The only people allowed to accuse are the mainstream media. And they can do it with evidence or without evidence, it doesn't matter. But once they do it, you can do it as well on YouTube. And it's really scary if you think about it, that maybe the Google search engine also operates based on the same premise. That they push on the mainstream media first, and websites that are independent, they're being pushed down below. So in other words, citizen journalism is haram nowadays. Like, you're not allowed to do these things if you're just operating outside of a major multi-billion-dollar corporation. In other words, who has money gets to make the news. Very dangerous, I would say. Not very left-leaning. But, this is how most corporations are. Left-leaning on social issues, but very conservative when it comes to power and money and finances. So, another interesting thing that I notice about conspiracy theories is that they used to be on primetime cable news. Like almost every single news channel, every single cable channel had a segment dedicated to conspiracy theories. I mean, I remember the first time I was hearing about 9/11 and the fact that the government and blah, 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 it was on cable news. Like they legitimately had these documentaries where they would talk about Bigfoots, they would talk about aliens. Like there was no problem then. There wasn't like this conspiracy epidemic, this infodemic that we're talking about. Nowadays, it seems that not only there is a problem, but it needs to be cracked down by big corporations to keep people safe. And it doesn't make sense if you think like that, but it makes perfect sense if you think about the cable news cracking down on their competition. Because again, it takes me a couple of minutes to crack down a story that I see ongoing on Twitter. Like some guy goes with a camera, films something on the street. I can immediately just boom, bam, here you go. It happened. And give my low IQ opinion on it. For someone at CNN, that's more difficult. Well, now he needs to ask his editor. He needs to ask permission like we saw. Like Megyn Kelly is now on YouTube. And she talked with this person that worked in cable. And she wasn't allowed to show the Epstein interview, which she made years ago. Because the corporate overlord cracked it down. And we get to see this with Project Veritas as well. That they talked about certain cable news operating the exact same way. Like the journalist wants to talk about something. The journalist finds a story that's interesting, but because he is within a corporation, top down, he's not allowed to talk about what he wants to talk about. He has to talk about what the owner of the company makes him speak about. Like, for example, there were a lot of people from CNN that were really tired about talking on impeachment and they wanted to cover some other news, but they weren't allowed. So this is like the kind of society that's being created now. And I don't know a solution for it, but I'm just telling you guys so you can understand why the content on YouTube is becoming so watered down. It's so that it cannot compete with cable news. Because random blokes in their house can make content that is incredibly funny, that you guys will really enjoy watching. But it doesn't have like high production value, and it's a little bit edgy. And you can't have that on YouTube. Like it's so obvious now that they are moving towards corporate tube rather than YouTube. And I don't know if it's going to change. I mean, the whole thing is that most people want to be where the public is. Like they want to use the platform that has the biggest amount of people. If you were to create now a platform that is better than Facebook, which has a lot better functions, a lot more polished, everything like that, most people won't use it. Why? Because the most amount of people are on Facebook. It's the same with the phone company. Like if you would have an alternative phone company now, which would give you like better services and better everything, and it would be cheaper and whatnot, as long as most of the people aren't there, assuming you cannot call people outside of that company, you are not going to have that gaining people, because that's the reason why people gravitate on social media, where the numbers are, where are the biggest amount of people. So that's why I do not see Altec growing anytime soon. But that doesn't mean you should ignore it. Like I'm still on Bishop. I'm still on other places. I wish they grew. I generally do. But again, until the big amount of people do not migrate there, you're not going to see a growth. Yeah, so regarding Tim Pool, I don't think he's going to be taken in the crosshair anytime soon. He definitely seems to have connections on YouTube. Like, he gets to talk with people that I don't get to talk. Like, he actually had a couple of videos getting demonetized, and he asked the people at YouTube, like, yo, why is this demonetized? I can't do that. I never know, like, why my videos get demonetized or not. Like, some do, some don't. I have no clue if what I'm doing is good. Because this is like another thing that really pisses the content creator off. Like, we would like to have the rules. We would at least like to know. It's like, okay, you're allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. That would be perfect. But there's content creators far bigger than me, and overnight it's like, yeah, we don't like what you're doing here. So what ends up happening is that everyone self-censors themselves. Everyone errs on the side of caution. Like, look, there was a horrible thing which happened in Britain a couple of days ago. A little girl got her throat slashed by a Somalian. The mainstream media, some of them covered, but some of them didn't cover the story. Now, I personally said a couple of months ago that I'm not going to talk about individual events anymore, because I find it to be sensationalism. I've already said everything that there is to say on the subject. I don't think I can add anything. Like, you know, you show something like this. What do you want me to say? Yeah, it's not good. It's horrible. It's disgusting. But what I find it really disgusting is that people are afraid to talk about it now. People are legitimately scared to talk about it because they might get a community strike. Like, and regardless of how you present it, like regardless how you frame it or how you try to present it, and it's disturbing. That's the real thing that disturbs me. It's like you need to seek approval from the mainstream media to do what you're doing, and I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm going to start presenting the news that I want. And I'm going to do my best in order to give you guys, because at the end of the day, you know, fuck YouTube. You're the guys that I care about, right? Like, it's not like YouTube gives me the platform, but it's you guys that give me the bread. I can't be like a video game journalist that goes like, fuck the consumer. You guys are the consumers. You guys, without you, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. I would not be able to be where I am and do something that I genuinely enjoy, which is to entertain people. And hopefully, you know, challenge a little things that you think and give you like a different perspective. And if you like my different perspective, that's fine. If not, you can challenge mine and we can have a dialogue. That's also great. I changed a lot of the things that I believed since I joined the platform by interacting with people from all over the world. That is some diversity that I can get behind. But still, it's really, really difficult and stressful. And it's not as stressful as, again, some of your jobs. I mean, working at KFC when I was a kid, or a teenager, not a kid. Well, I don't know. I glad I was a kid. Working at KFC was far more stressful than being on YouTube. But yeah, I just wanted to vent this. I wanted to get this off my chest because it's been going on, and now Tim Pool confirmed it. It's exactly what I thought that is happening behind the scenes. YouTube has replaced, I suppose, their ethic committee with corporate media. Like literally, they're the ones that get to decide what is correct, what is allowed to be spoken, what isn't allowed to be spoken. And that is the vibe that I'm getting. Like, you know, if someone from YouTube watches this and they're telling you, no, it's not the case, I'm willing to change my mind. But like, this is the vibe. Like, honest to God, this is what I feel. As a content creator, this is legitimately what I feel. And it's not left-leaning, it's not right-leaning, it's just corporate. Like, corporate versus the individual. If you do not have, I genuinely think that this is what the mainstream media is doing. Like, whenever they want to attack someone, they research the person, and they question, it's like, okay, how much political power does this guy have? Basically, like, how much of a stink can they raise against us if we fuck with them? You know, who's backing him? Are there any politicians backing him? Are there any other mainstream media organizations backing him? And the answer is no, they will attack. It's why other people don't get attacked. You know, like Steven Crowder. I legitimately think the reason Steven Crowder is still on YouTube is because of his political connections. If he was any other guy, if you like, just no, seriously, think about this. If it was me, I would be gone. I mean, Alex Jones, gone. You know, like, these people that do not have the political connections, that do not have the backing, they're gone. And it's the world we live in. Anyway, right, I'll stop ranting now, because if I were to rant, I could get it out for 2 or 3 or 4 hours. But, yes, this is why edginess has disappeared from YouTube. This is why content that is funny and entertaining has disappeared. And this is why you will not see as many viral videos as you've seen before. In fact, I cannot remember the last viral video that I have seen on YouTube.